Man, Cavario H, man, another episode of Willing TV. You know, co-founder of Dine Diva magazine.
You dig?
Author, editor, have his own publishing company. Yeah, I really need to link up with him with that if you try and get your stuff out there. You know, author.
Gotta be quality though. I don't do urban lit. I need sentences. I'll help you with that.
My man, tell the people about yourself. You already giving them the love.
yeah, it gotta be what it is, man. So what's up? Like the gentleman explained, man. Like a shout out to Cavario X. You know what I mean? I'm happy to be a part of his ascension. You know, into the media space. More independent urban media is necessary. We've not had the sufficient amount of opportunity or people taking advantage of the opportunity that we do have to tell our stories from our perspective, you know, and to bring to the forefront what is important to us, right? So that's an important thing that you're doing, and I'm glad to be a part of it. One day we're gonna look back on this, and it's gonna be like, yo, remember that? Wow, that's crazy. You did that with a phone.
Real tough.
But, as you can see, we are in urban grind.
Yeah, black owned.
You know what I mean? Black owned urban grind here in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, where do I start? Well, I was born and raised in Harlem. I was born into an organized crime family. My mother and my father, not a distant cousin, not an errant uncle, you know. My mother and my father, class 1 narcotic offenders and stone cold killers. That is just the fact of the matter. I don't have to quantify anything I say by saying, oh, I'm not bragging and all that other shit. It is what it is. These are the facts. I'm just sharing my facts with you. My facts are relevant to my story because the outcome where I am today is most unlikely. Because most people that come from where I come from never leave where I come from. They usually die in obscurity where I come from, unless they attain some level of infamy after they've made a complete mess of their lives and they've gotten a million years in prison. That was an easy potential outcome for me, and if it weren't for the pursuit of greater degrees of information, that would have been exactly what happened to me. Reading saved my life, period. I dropped out of school in 10th grade, but I continued to pursue greater degrees of understanding. Psychology, sociology, politics, the sciences, biology, and chemistry, and these things all played in my life. You know, I was in the narcotics game, so I had to mix great degrees of narcotics. You know, heroin, great degrees of cocaine, and then when crack came along, before crack, I was one of the guys that was one of the first people that sold cooked cocaine. It was called freebasing back in 81, 82, you know what I mean? And all that was chemistry, and I was fascinated as to how this worked, and I was wondering, like, how did they know this, and how did this come up to be, something that people who've never, had any kind of background in chemistry or whatever could figure out how to do this. The guy that taught me how to do it was a stone cold junkie, but he knew exactly how much cocaine to mix with, how much baking soda, how much heat for how long to get the exact desired effect every single time. That's chemistry. How the hell did you know that? So, I was a kid. I was still in school. So this was my after-school program, All of these things culminated to the education that I received unique to the experiences of my life. I was a major narcotics offender all over the East Coast, Baltimore, DC, Virginia, North Carolina, many cities in North Carolina. Of course, the Bronx, Harlem, Queens. A lot of cats have not seen the things that I've seen because they were geographically bound. They could only hustle where they were from. But I have what you call a universal face card. I went where I wanted, did what I wanted. That's the difference between being a hustler and being a guerrilla hustler. And that's what I am. I'm a guerrilla hustler. That means I do what I want, where I want, how I want, and I do not come into conflict because the greatest weapon I've ever possessed is between my ears. And although I carried 2 guns for the majority of my adolescence and young adulthood, my mother insisted that I carry a revolver. She didn't think that Semi-automatics were reliable. So I had to carry the revolver she gave me and the semi-automatic that I preferred. So that was from like 12 till about 18 or 19 every day. And anybody that knows me, a lot of people that know me can tell you, they can attest to anything that I share. They can tell you these are the facts of my existence. When I was 30 years old, I started getting money in the street in 1980. When I was 13, I retired when I was 30, and I retired. I did not go to jail. I did not lose my mind. I did not get strung out. I just got up one day. I was winning quietly, making a nice piece of change, and I just got up one day and I was like, I want to do something different. And I feel if I don't stop what I'm doing now, I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll stick a toe in this or stick a toe in that. But anytime something remotely went wrong with the thing I did, my toe would come right up out of whatever the hell it was I was trying to endeavor into, and I'd be 10 toes down in my thing. I understood after so many trials like that it was necessary for me to free my hands of the old so that I could grab something new. So I did that. I made that choice. I made it blindly. I'd never worked in my life or had a job in my life, so to speak. And so I was arrogant in thinking that I'd always made money, so I would always make money. I didn't know I would have to assimilate with normal society and learn the ways and practices of civilians. And I was like a child coming into that understanding. I was like a little kid, man. I thought that, quote unquote squares is how we refer to the general public. I thought that squares played it straight, and I realized that I really had to learn that because of the degree of potential detriment in not keeping your word being much less than what I was accustomed to, that people were inclined to do more underhanded things in the square world. Because what are you going to do? Talk about them badly? Maybe threaten them with litigation? Where I come from, your word was a contract in blood. And if you didn't keep your word, then you lost everything else. Plain and simple. I was completely enveloped in that philosophy, and I had no real understanding of anything outside of it. My first legitimate endeavor was a publication called Don Diva magazine, which I created with my ex-girlfriend 2 years after we had ended our relationship, our personal relationship. In doing Don Diva, I had begun to develop my distinct literary voice. I'm a very heavy reader. I've read over 1,000 books. I do not read urban lit, so the books I've read have been, 300, 400, 500 pages. They're about everything from globalism to the esoteric agenda to history, to politics, psychology, of course, behavioral science. I'm fascinated by those types of things. I use those understandings and the gifts that my mother gave me. She was very intuitive and absolute in her action. And, I built my particular voice based off of those understandings and the experiences I had in my professional career in the street. And in reading the few urban books, like the original one, True to the Game by Terry Woods, my little sister, and a couple of other ones, Be More Careful by the little homie Shannon Holmes. I recognized that a lot of people were just putting words on pages, and they were hoping that the hyperbole, the extra, super nigga shit that they would put in these books would be sufficient to grab and hold an audience's attention. But maybe people outside of that environment, that reality, maybe they might be enamored with that, that superficial representation, that lifestyle. But for those of us who really came from it or are of it, to us it was remedial and foolish. And I didn't want to be categorized such as that or in that way. So I'd already begun writing what became my autobiography, which is Raised by Wolves, Inside the Life and Mind of a Guerrilla Hustler. And that was